let's talk about TCU. Okay. We're moving on from Kansas State. No one bring up Kansas State. You hear me?
Right.
Ryan? Ryan, get your mind
looking
right.
at me.
Yeah, get your mind right. Okay, well, you can if you like.
In the context of
gonna
being
bring that.
better.
Yeah, okay.
We have to.
That's fine. All right, so the captains for this game this week, Jonah Lualu, I still don't even know if I say his name right. Daniel Parker, Jordan Kelly, McCade Mattower. I can't believe McCade Mattower is a captain after the game he had last week, but that's beside the point. So those are your captains for the week. Guys, let's start off with OU offense versus TCU defense. What do you see? What do you like in those matchups? I will start with Mark. You look like you got some notes in front of you, so I'll start with Mark.
I do have some notes in front of me. So sort of similar to the teams pre-Kansas State. I kind of feel like this is a team that has some returning guys on their defense. There's 3 rotation pieces that come back on defense and a Georgia transfer. On the defensive line, specifically on the defensive line. The linebacker unit is returning their leading tackler from last year, D. Winters. He's an NFL draft guy. I don't know his number off the top of my head, but he's an NFL draft guy, so watch out for him. They also have a Navy transfer at linebacker named Johnny Hodges, who has pulled a starting position. He's a former lacrosse player, so he's quick as hell. And I think that...
Or maybe he's unathletic. I don't know.
I mean...
I'm just kidding.
Starting for TCU on defense.
Yeah.
Another thing, though, it's not Gary Patterson running that defense. So that 4-2-5 look we've seen, they're moving to a 3-down lineman kind of deal. And I just like seeing our offensive line have to deal with people, have to deal with problems as they're presented, because so far it's a very mixed bag of results there.
Yeah.
Gotta hope that they come out strong. That's where I'm focusing in offense versus defense.
So TCU through 3 games, only 5 total sacks. That kind of shocked me when I saw that number, especially when they played Tarleton State or someone like that. I think it was Tarleton State.
Yeah.
So you got to look for, they're going to drop a lot of people in coverage. Like you said, Mark, with 3-down linemen, this is going to be important for Dylan Gabriel in his growth as the Oklahoma quarterback. He's going to have to be accurate if they're going to drop that many guys into coverage. He's going to have to put the ball in certain positions. And if they're dropping 8, you're not going to get deep shots down the field every time. You're going to have to hit the underneath stuff that he wasn't hitting last week. It's going to be important to see if he can bounce back. And that's something that I'm looking for. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. Just looking at their last 3 games, I mean, they've played Colorado, beat them 38-13. They played Tarleton 59-17. And then they had a shootout just north of me here in Dallas against SMU. Probably playing a more formidable opponent, playing the Stangs. But looking at just the stats here, only giving up about 100 yards rushing on 20-plus attempts from each 3 of those games. Now, I don't know how much of a rushing offense Colorado and SMU truly have, but that's something that we really need to lean on in this week's game. Continue to lean on Eric Gray for what he showed, his burst, his shiftiness. Get that offensive line, especially if they're only going to have 3-down linemen on the field most of the time, like the scheme that Mark said. Those offensive linemen have to get up on secondary block on those linebackers, open those holes up, and hopefully we can get that run game going so DG can make those passes behind the defense.
Ryan, Pat, get in there.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the TCU game against SMU, and I personally don't think their defense is that great. And I think offense is pretty good. I even think, not bringing up the game from last week, but the offense played well. And I think we'll be fine in this battle. Much more interested to see the other side.
You guys covered it. I just want to see the simple things done right, and I want us to get momentum early in the game.
Pat's better than us at this.
Yeah, I know. He's good at that. I want to see the running game do more. I know Eric Gray's had a really good couple of weeks, and I know, running for over 200 yards, you're like, Mason, what are you talking about? I want us to hit somebody in the mouth, come out after a loss, run for like 300 yards, just feed Marcus Major and Eric Gray and just dare them. What, Mark? What did I do?
Just the order that you put those two in. I love it.
Did I say Marcus Major first?
Yeah.
It's like a Freudian slip.
No Air Gray love on this podcast. Except for
Dude,
this
I
guy
just
right
said
here.
he had 2 good games in a row.
Lots
He
of
did.
love.
No,
for Aaron.
but you
Lots
guys
of love.
before all this
So
Marcus
fair.
Major stock, you both just might as well get a room and kiss it out. You know what I mean?
Okay, Matt, are we rivals? Are we going to do this?
No, between us three, yeah, between this whole
Okay.
Air Gray and Marcus
All right.
Major thing for sure.
All right. So, look, it's a big game for Dylan Gabriel. He's got to be more accurate, like I said, and I think the running game needs to be better. I think the offensive line has got to push. If you watched the game last week, they got bullied. They got straight up bullied. And if you're going to get right, you better do it right now, because if you got Texas next week, and they're going to come at you. So figure it out right now, or else you're in big, big trouble for the rest of the year. Because respectfully, TCU isn't going to end towards the top of the conference this year. They're just not. So you better go out and you better dominate
Better
up
take
front.
care of business.
Right now. Anything else on the TCU defense before we move on? Matt, is that a yes or no? Matt's doing
No,
finger guns if you're
I just
watching.
think that the biggest thing, offense has got to clean up the penalties, especially the offensive
Good
line
God.
to stop killing drives. And we have to execute on third downs. We got to give our defense a little bit of a break. I get it. They should be in the best shape of their life, especially with Schmitty, but you can't expect the defense to be on the field 30, 40 minutes a game. That's just impossible for any team to do. The offense has to clean it up a little bit. Even if they're going to play high tempo, you either have to score or you got to at least execute some third downs, at least give the defense a little bit of a break.
I'd love to see us use a little bit more 2 tight end sets if they are going to come out small.
Good point.
And like y'all were talking about, let's beef it up a little bit and, go for 300. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? We're able to. We're capable of it.
Braden Willis loves the run block. Get the
Loves it
dude in,
now.
get him in the game. Let him do it. He's addicted to it. Love it. Move on to the OU defense against the TCU offense. I'm really, really, really looking forward to this matchup. I cannot wait to see how this defense responds. And we're going to learn a lot about them in this matchup. We'll start, Mark, I want to start with you again. What are you looking for?
Cool. So it's a little bit different than last week. Obviously, Adrian Martinez and running the football, we weren't able to stop that. Max Duggan is a little bit more like the things we've seen before during this year. The problem is he's really good for them this year. TCU's averaging 510 yards of offense, and he is number 1 in the country in passing efficiency, completing 77% of passes with no interceptions. He is playing really well. He's spreading the ball out. They have 5 guys with 7 or more catches. That's, good number, I think. And I think their scariest receiver is this. I think he's a freshman, Darius Davis. He is also their starting return guy for punts and kicks, I believe. And he's fast as hell. I watched him in the Colorado game, and I think he scored a touchdown on a punt in that one, and just fast and electric. So someone that the defense needs to watch out for. They can also run the ball.
Darius Davis, 80-yard touchdown against SMU as well.
There you go. He's fast. It's fast. They can also run the ball. They're averaging 215 on the ground per game. The thing that I'd say, and then I'm just going to be done, I'm sorry, guys, is according to whatever website I found earlier, they're only 100. It was College Football Reference, so it's reputable. They're only 121st out of 131 in strength of schedule so far. So they haven't, small sample, but
Ain't played nobody, Paul.
Maybe SMU's not good. We just don't know.
We don't know yet. Pat, what do you got, man?
Yeah, this is the best wide receiver core our secondaries had to deal with all year. So I'm excited to see what our coverage looks like. I thought it looked good last week. It was the best part of our defense last week. Deshaun White, especially in that cheetah position, providing coverage when he needed to. Really good stuff from him last week. So just can see, it'll be a good test for them. I'm excited to see that.
Matt?
Yeah, I think Mark hit on it. He pretty much hit on everything. So, Mark, thank you for covering that. You could have just took the whole segment for yourself. I'll try to get in where Mark didn't, but I'll have to go back to it. It's the rushing defense. It has to show up. It looked horrendous last week against Kansas State. And we talked about what we needed to do to stop the Kansas State offense. We have to do something similar to TCU, even though, like Mark said, Max is doing very good at the quarterback position. He hasn't played anyone. He hasn't played a secondary or a defense that we think OU can possibly be, even after the step back from last week. So it's got to stop, or it's got to start with the rush defense, linebackers filling the hole. I said last week they were playing on their heels pretty much the entire game. I want to see them go back to Nebraska in some of those first games, dictating the offense of what TCU is going to do, playing aggressive, playing downhill, and first of all, stopping that rush defense.
Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's touched on pretty much everything. I will say Chandler Morris returns. I know he's not going to start, but he's back from injury, and us OU fans know him. So I'm interested to see that. Both of these quarterbacks are combining for 76% of their passes. I know Mark threw that out there earlier for just Max, but Chandler is also extremely accurate. So I am interested to see how our secondary does against that. And I'm also interested to see, they're not running quarterbacks like Martinez is, but with they're watching our tape from last week, right? They are going to see how open a quarterback can get on the run, and they're going to try something around it. And I'm curious to see how we respond to that, because last week was just not acceptable around that area. So,
and you bring up a good point that leads me into my point. It's that David Ugwebu, Danny Stutzman got to show up this week. Like they gotta. It's a put up or shut up week for them, especially for me, for Danny Stutzman. I sang his praises, worshiped at the altar of Danny Stutzman. He had a bad week last week, plain and simple. He has to show up and play better this week, or else this team has got no shot, because you heard Brent say that they don't have depth at the linebacker position. So if Danny Stutzman and David Ugwebu are going out there and they're the only guys who you give a damn about and they can't play, we're dead. We're deader than dead. So they have to play well this week, and they have to dominate like they did in the first 3 games. I need to see Nebraska Danny Stutzman. I got to see Kent State David Ugwebu. I got to see those guys on that field, or else we're in big trouble for the rest of the year. I don't think we're in trouble against TCU. I think we're in trouble for the rest of the year if those guys don't figure it out, and it has to start on Saturday in Fort Worth. That's what I'm looking for.
One more thing I will add. I am interested to see if we can force any turnovers against this TCU offense, because they've only had 1 lost fumble all year, and this is the only turnover that they've had. And so I'm interested to see if we can push that and get us to the point where we can, get our defense off the field and get our offense back on.
I'd love to get back to tackles for loss. Y'all remember those?
Yeah.
Those.
Nice.
Remember sacks? Remember sacks?
I love sacks.
I just want them to wrap up, honestly. After last week, I just want them to wrap up and not hit somebody and fall off them. I really felt like I was watching Buki last week. I felt like there was like a million Bukis on the field just trying to lay somebody out and not like wrap up. It was driving me nuts.
Former Cincinnati Bengal tryout player.
That's how we remember him.
Can't make it.
Yeah. Anything else? I think special teams is going to be huge in this game. I think Marvin Mims, after a lot of fair catches last week, is really going to try to return some punts this week if we are able to force a bunch of them. And then on kickoff returns, I'd like to see Billy Bowman do what he's been doing. He's looked pretty well, or looked pretty good in his kick return game. I feel like he's due to return one, because he's had a couple of returns of like 30 yards and he's looked really good. So I'd like to see Billy Bowman do that.
The tough thing is just how much of that is out of their hands.
You're
the
right.
way that, a punter can punt it to the sideline and a kicker can just blast it out of the end zone sometimes. That part's tough. I feel like K-State definitely was doing that on purpose, playing against our special teams.
All right, guys. One big thing. What are we looking for out of this game this week? Your one big thing. Ryan, I'll start with you.
You said me.
Yeah, Ryan.
Okay. All right, cool. I think for me, the biggest thing is I just want to see how this team responds. And I know we've been talking about that, but especially the defense, I want to see what this week did for them and what this loss did for them. Because as much shit as we give the old regime, they knew how to recover from a loss. They did. And other than last year was, a crapshoot. But other than that, if you look previously, we 1 foot out the door last year. But if you look previously, I mean, we would lose a game. We lost one game a year usually, and after that, we would bounce back. And I'm very interested to see if this team can tap into whatever Brent Venables is selling, and really go the extra mile, because they just got like thrown into the dirt. And let's see if they are strong enough to pick themselves up. So that's what I'm interested to see. And I want to see it mostly on defense.
For me, it's the offensive line. I want them to go out and hit somebody. And like I said, I want to see us dominate the line of scrimmage from the jump. They got pushed around last week. Their manlyhood was tested, and they were dominated. So go up against this TCU team, prove to me, prove to everybody else that you're an offensive line that can dominate. And we'll find out. I hope I'm wrong, but they're making me look like an idiot for saying how good they were going to be at the beginning of the year, because they're lost right now. And they got all their guys. They're healthy. They're ready to go. So no excuses. Pat?
Urgency from the offense, and no lateral or backwards passes. Forward passes only this week.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Pat. That's just not going to happen, man.
I know, but I want it to happen really bad, because it wasn't working.
Yeah.
That's fair. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, that's a great one, Patrick. You actually set me up for this one. You said a little bit earlier, it's starting out on the right foot. We have started every game flat-footed. We always get down a touchdown or two. It makes no sense when we're not waking up at the very start of the game. That's what you should have: the most energy, the most adrenaline, the blood pumping to play some Sooner football. It hasn't happened yet. Kind of like what you said, Mason. Let's come out them and let's punch them in the mouth in the first 5-10 minutes of the game.
And not get punched in the mouth.
And not get punched in the mouth. Exactly. I'm sick of it.
Yeah. It's hard to win games when you're down 14-0, no matter who you play. It's just hard. Go ahead, Mark, sorry.
Yours is mine, Mason. Offensive line. I want to see them come together and really take control of the game. I want to see both running backs break 100 yards. Why not? Let Javonte Barnes get into the game a little bit. That's it. You hit it really well.
Thank you. Comment down below on our YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube. What is your one big thing that you're looking for this week? We read every single comment you guys leave. Really appreciate you interacting with this video. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet already.
Y'all went off.
You guys
did.
Week.
It was so much fun.
It was a fun time in the comments. We need to start making up a name for our comment section. Like
the way the
you're gonna do this. You're gonna do this in real time.
No, we're not. That's terrible podcast.
Give us your first guess. Give us your first pick.
Program Guys Posse. That could be misconstrued. We're not going to do that.
Awesome, baby. That's pretty good.
Something.
I mean, it wasn't bad for a first shot,
It actually really was pretty good.
Yeah.
PGP.
Comment down below if you're a Program Guys Posse member. What, Matt?
Yeah, I was going to say real quick, we haven't done this all year yet, but I'm going to put you guys on the spot.
Here we go.
We haven't done it yet. But we haven't given one score prediction for any of the OU games this year. So I want to hear what you guys think the final score for the OU TCU game is. Mark, I'm going to start with you. What do you got?
Give me. I hate this.
Wait, we need to write it down, Mason. We got a pen and paper. Someone can take some notes.
I got it.
When you have these scores,
Patrick's
Let's just write it down on the outline, guys. I'm gonna go with 49-27.
Love it.
45-24 OU.
Okay. Patrick, what do you got? Note taker.
54-13.
Woo!
Yeah, it's like, I hate TCU. 50 what to 13?
54-13.
How are we getting to that?
Dude, don't worry about
baby.
it.
Points.
Forward passes. We love
18
forward passes. I like
18 field goals. That's how we get to 54.
Ryan,
what do you got?
Let's do 35-21.
A little bit closer. Okay. I'm gonna go 48-25 because I think we're gonna give up some points, but I think we win by double digit for sure.
Brian, what'd you say?
I wrote it
35-21
in the outline.
Oh, you did? That's smart.
Yeah, this whole time. That's right.
Thanks for doing that with.
all right, thanks. Love that. Let us know down below in the comment section your score prediction. Matt's putting you on the spot.